Hi, I'm Jessica Ardeal with Lynn Misch, here to invite you to our own Your Healthcare Master Class. And when I say our own Your Healthcare Master Class, I mean yours. This is for you. We're coming together here. There's so many problems that we're facing in the world, and it all comes back to how you're integrating at home. And we want to empower you where you live in your home. We're teaming up together to bring this opportunity to you to dive into some of the solutions that can be available in the myriad of problems that we face, whether it's well, I don't know, Lynn, where do you want to take this? Because there's a lot we can cover. And really, before we get to individualize it, there's general topics we can talk about. And with that being said, this is obviously not a replacement for medical care or attention or visiting your primary care physician or provider and getting a diagnosis for your symptoms. But we do want to bring ease and comfort into your body, which is ultimately where you live, your home, no matter where you are. And so going down the checklist here of problems that need to be addressed in our world, what can two little people like ourselves do in the world? That's what we're going to find out. And that's what we need you to join us if you choose to. And Lynn, let me pass the mic to you. I am going to grab my favorite Life is a Beach cup from La Jolla and have a sip of water here. So
Here, and water is really one of the important ingredients to wellness. You know, when you really think about we're probably 70-90% water, and we don't hydrate enough, and it's a very special commodity in our world. And I think, you know, oftentimes when you think about just that sip of water, how important that is, even when you roll out of bed or during the night, first thing in the morning, to hydrate your brain so that you can think more effectively is really important. Leading to another topic right now, and it's really about, I know that Jess and I have really talked about on many occasions the importance of mental health. And I think that we've really gone through a tremendous change in the last 3 or 4 years with the pandemic that we've all been through, the social isolation, learning how to live independently, learning how to live with restrictions that have been placed upon us, and the fears that have been incorporated into health and wellness and well-being in our own.
hold on. Oh, my mute could be here. See?
Okay. So we're, you know, it's all good, as the saying goes. It's all good. So anyway, the incorporation of well-being and being connected to the world at large with cell phones and TVs and social media and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got a bell dinging on my phone right now. But anyway, I think the important thing is really looking at our own mental well-being as we incorporate this whole process into, you know, owning your own health. And I think that things that have significantly been put on the back burner for years in healthcare, which we have identified, is mental wellness, and the pressures of really identifying how it is that we feel, and what we think, and how important it is to identify those strategies so that we can help to make better decisions about where our lives outcomes are going to be. And I think that it's like when I teach nursing students, and when I'm teaching nursing students, one of the things that I often talk about with patients or with students is that you really have to address people's well-being, their mental health, because if you can't get to where someone is in their own feelings about themselves, then we're not going to be able to get through to them and help them, to give them the bridge to making better choices about how to make decisions about even engaging in wellness, engaging in making decisions about lifestyle choices that may make a difference in their outcomes for health.
And
So
it's such a delicate topic too.
it
Right?
is.
It's very, there's so many different dynamics that there's not one blanket answer for everything. If there was, we'd all have everything solved by now, which is why in owning your healthcare and getting into that, it's about what you can do to facilitate that communication between body mind so that how you're feeling, the what you're putting into your body, how you're taking care of yourself, and how that's impacting yourself. Really, it's a lot of work to take care of ourselves, right? It's so much easier to choose the easy option. And so everybody's different in what their health definition is. And I really want to invite you to, no matter what you're facing, really start to imagine what feeling healthy is. You know, it's funny, Lynn, not funny, but upon reflection and hindsight, it really didn't even occur to me that there were healthy people in the world, right? And so even you can be a model of health, and you know, I've been on that Dr. G medical examiner kick, right? And what I really appreciate about the science of that is ultimately the body tells the medical examiner what happened, right? And so what really hit me is, let's not wait until that point for our body to tell us what it needs, what's happening. And there's ways that we can connect inside. I hear, go ahead, take the mic.
Well, I think that's such an important topic, because I think that the thing is about the amazing thing about the body that we don't recognize, and you've really captured that in what you just said, is that we don't connect to the body until something goes wrong with it a lot of times. And that's exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about end stage during, I think you're talking about autopsies at this point in time, and
And
the
they're
body,
starting to take that turn.
yeah, aligns itself, and you can see the events that happen. That, I mean, there's timed events that happen with how the body evolves and shuts down, and what causes that whole process to occur. The thing that is really important to identify is that the body does this all the time. And that's the amazing thing about it, is that it's constantly on. It's on, and it's working for you. And at a cellular level, it is constantly working to change, to integrate, to the cells talk to each other. They really work together in unison, and they constantly are trying to make the system right. And it's constantly adjusting, it's constantly sensing, it's constantly working with the environment around it. And so it's really interesting when you study it, that it really looks at, when you look at the body as a whole. And I think what happens, and where you're going with this, is that we're not connected to it. We don't really understand it. And that's where we're going with Own Your Own Health, is to really start to help you understand, the people that are going to participate in this masterclass, to really help you understand that you can connect to this amazing machine, that it is the most remarkable, amazing machine on the planet. They can't replicate it yet. They keep trying. They keep trying to replicate it, and they can't do it. And it's unique. It's amazing. It does work that until something breaks, and you start to develop symptoms, you don't really know, because it just keeps working 24/7. It's like thinking about your heart. You know, I always tell patients or tell students, when you're thinking about that amazing little machine that's about the size of your fist, that lives in your chest, and that little machine that not only experiences muscular work, but it also has feelings. It's the center of the human experience. And so it beats 24/7, every second of every day, of every minute of every day. It keeps working. And I have taken care of cardiac surgical patients, and they're really interesting. I can remember these gentlemen that would tell me after they'd have surgery, and they tell me I'd walk in the room to take care of them, and I'd be talking to them, and they'd share with me, I can't go to sleep at night. I'm afraid to go to sleep at night. And I'd say, well, why are you afraid to go to sleep at night? well, I can hear my heart beating. And it was really interesting because they had not ever really, I don't think, connected to that heart until after they had a surgical intervention to help correct the disease that they had in their heart, in their vessels. And they'd say, I can hear it. And I think what they were afraid of is they were afraid it was going to stop. And it was that ultimate recognition that it was alive, they were alive, it was beating for them and keeping them alive. And I always thought that was an amazing comment to hear from someone, the sensitivity and the vulnerability in that feeling of that beating. They finally came to terms with the fact that they had a heart. Isn't that interesting?
And those
Because
vital organs and systems, right, is I champion, that's the one thing we all have in common, no matter what, even though they function differently, whether you're a human, animal, there is a sensitivity that these vital organs and systems have. And the more we can connect with them on a more of a entertainment type level, right, rather than taking it seriously, we're not doctors and scientists, and this piece here of being able to add an element of play with these vital pieces that keep us alive. And if we're stuck in survival mode, we don't have time to connect with them, right? Like, it's working, let's keep going. And there comes a point where women especially will reach out after a diagnosis or something has come up for them that is alarming, and there is a sense of fear, right? It's like, what is my body doing to me here? And then that's going to affect our mental health and what we're thinking and how we're approaching the day. And not every day is going to be great, even if we have all the tools and skills and resources. Life is right, but what we can do is contribute to feeling better, having peace of mind, being in a place where we can relax and just trust that our body is taking care of us, because it's going to reroute and do everything it needs to do to keep us alive. Right?
well, and I think it's embracing that, and I think it's really engaging with the body so that you start to really recognize that it is there for you. It's not your opponent. It is your best friend, and you are its best friend. And so that's the piece, and it's to bring more joy. I mean, even in the mental wellness of what's happening, I think that a sense of fear it permeates our existence. And when we become so immobilized by fear, by the fact that fear of whatever it is, of what's coming or what's happened, or rather than being present and in the moment with the joy that can come with the connection to our own self, that we are amazing, remarkable human beings, and that recognizing that we have the power to be able to acknowledge and be able to connect to that and find joy in that every day, to be grateful for those moments, to be grateful when you wake up in the morning that you are in this amazing experience, that we're here, we're living, and that's a wonderful, to bring joy to that, to play with that, to have fun with that, and I think that we have been through a great period of time where we've been told to be, I mean, we were isolated from each other. We're a community. Our body's a community, right? It really is. This is a whole community of cells that are really trying to be purposeful and have well-being. And I think the more that we can contribute from a mental state of happiness and joy, the more we're going to enhance those outcomes with our physical well-being, right?
Yes, and that is why Own Your Healthcare is coming to life here, so that we can empower, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. You have all these parts and pieces of yourself that have been with you. I always think of the body as its own recording mechanism, right? Like back in the day with TiVo, and everything that we need to access can be done within our body, mind's wisdom, storage capacity, data container, whatever you want to call it here, we have an infinite supply of wisdom and intelligence. Like, we are so more capable of taking care of ourselves with just a few tweaks of what we can know and add. And like you started with water, right? That's a whole topic in and of itself. But what we're going to do together and with you and Own Your Healthcare is go into each of those topics more in depth and individualize that to you so that you're getting the most benefit from the effort you're putting in to take care of yourself.
And the joy that comes from that, the payback, right? The payback in all of it to have a sense of well-being and a sense of no matter what the condition is, like you said, you can have an experience and you can be in a state of dis-ease with your body. And I like the expression of dis-ease. And so it's really relinquishing that dis and developing that sense of ease, no matter where you are in the circumstances that you're facing. You can find ease within those circumstances.
With the right tools that will work for you, right? Because not everything is going to work for everyone. And that's what's so exciting about finding out what you need for you. And that's going to be different. And how exciting that there is a treasure that you can start to connect with and really invest in, what I call your $1 billion body, right? It's not going to take a lot to be aware, right? It doesn't require anything, but the tools to get you through the hard times when they are there is also what this is going to provide you. And I'm so excited. I can't wait till we meet and get into that group dynamic. You know, I specialize one-on-one, but Lynn, you bring the corporate wellness programs and the clinical education experience with nursing students. And you have so much of that teaching, educating presence being held for the group, and I'm excited to work with everyone. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up this second invitation here?
Oh, I'm just excited to bring this forward. I'm excited. I love the $1 billion body. I love the concepts of really helping people know that there's, it's a foundation, that we're really building a foundation that it's like building a house. And we've talked about this on multiple occasions, right? You've got to build the right foundation. I told students that when I'm teaching is that you have to have a foundation in place. And once you have that solid foundation, whatever it is, your house is going to be solid and it's going to be a wonderful place to live. And that's what your living is your home, right? Your body is your home. And so it's being comfortable within your own home. And isn't that a wonderful thing? So you take yourself wherever you are, right? So this is what we're going to help you to find, is that connection to yourself, and hopefully open the doors to more joy and a sense of purpose and well-being every day, right? With different tools. So
I mean, to be perfectly honest, the reason I'm doing this is because this is what lights me up, right? Like, wow, if we could just get everybody at least in the same book, maybe not the same page, the same paragraph, but the same book here, that we are all humans. We have these vital organs and systems that determine how we're going to experience our own individual path and journey. And what helps me is when I'm able to connect one-on-one with somebody and come to a deep place of understanding. And I think that's what we're missing so much these days, is that understanding. So with that greater understanding, that's what we want to do. We want to understand you. We want you to understand you. And sometimes it just takes that aerial view to take a few more things into consideration and get that bigger picture and that wow experience. That's our birthright, right? We've come so far in the history of humanity. Like, there are those of us that have the opportunity to enjoy life more than most, right? So if you're stuck in survival mode right now, this applies to you too. No matter what you're going through, we want to be here for you, because that's what we do. And that sounds super cheesy, but it's like, if I don't do this, what else am I going to do? Like,
Well, and I think the other thing is we started out with mental health, and I think the important thing about that is that to know that it's like thinking about being grateful, but there's always a connection. There's always a way to find an answer to feel better. And I think that that is getting lost in the shuffle somewhere, that we don't have those answers. We're so, and there's different, our bodies are designed in different ways. And we have, our nervous system is designed specifically in different ways so that we can escape from, the things that are we're afraid of. And when we have all of that fear, we're constantly in that overdrive system, which is overdriving the whole unit. And the thing is it's learning that we can shift out of that system. We can shift into the other part of the nervous system that helps us to relax, that helps us to be able to take in the world in a whole different way. And sometimes that's just as simple as taking a deep breath and connecting to that breathing. That really will help to shift that energetic pattern, right? And get us out of that fear mode. And there's been so much that has been infused into us that it's really learning. We're going to help navigate through some of that with the tools that we can provide. And then it's again, it's making the choice about what tools are you going to take out of your toolbox to figure out, is this going to work for me? Is this not? And it becomes a practice, right? It becomes a practice that you incorporate every day, maybe a little bit at a time, a step at a time. But it's a choice that you make. It's a choice we all make to look at what can we do to feel better, and engaging in understanding those different aspects are going to be really important, because then you'll pick the right tools, right? They're going to be the tools that are the goal. It's like goal. It's like really developing a new pattern of behavior, right? A new pattern. You're going to break those old patterns. And sometimes they're ingrained in us from the time that we're little tiny people. But you break those old patterns and you start to incorporate new patterns of behavior with the intention of developing a practice with having your own health, your own personal health in mind. And so it's helping to benefit and to give yourself the opportunity to invest in yourself. And I think it's, I'm excited to engage at that level, to get people to be involved and to join the masterclass so that we can invite you to make choices, because it is about choices.
Yes,
So
so if you want to choose to RSVP, let us know, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to talking more directly with you, and we'll say bye for now.
bye for now.